Welcome to another episode of Reflections of a CEO, where I take you behind the scenes on what it's really like to run a business. So today I want to talk about sales and new business, the hot topic that you see a lot of talk about on Facebook from gurus telling you about the latest strategy and all of this. And anyways, I guess ironically, I had a conversation with someone on Twitter about sales. It was really something that he said that spurred my thinking. Someone that I know, right? And he writes this. I'll just read you the dialogue really quick just to set the stage. At least once a week I have this conversation. Them. Mike, how do you find clients to work with? Me. I just help a lot of people and enough of them end up wanting to pay me. Them. But really? Facebook ads, LinkedIn, cold email? Shiny object syndrome is a real thing. Everyone wants the latest growth hack. People don't want to believe that it's simple. I almost typed easy, but it's not easy. The answer is always unquestionably providing more value than you take. So I said, yep. And this also scales. And people don't think it does, but it does, was my comment. He goes, theory. People say they don't think it works because if they think it works, they would have to do an ungodly amount of work. I'm not going to become a hustle porn account, but oh my, so many people just don't want to do the work. Not can't, whoa. I said that's actually an interesting take on it. Hadn't thought about it like that, but yes, it's a ton of work with not immediate ROI, but oh boy, does it work. I sort of stopped telling people about this as much, this strategy, because it wasn't sexy and people didn't like the answer. He goes, yeah, I think it's a cop-out. Intellectually, much easier to say, Mike and Anthony are wrong. It couldn't possibly work, because then it shifts the burden away from oneself. But anyways, and then we go on. But really the point is, it's really interesting, right? I love that he said this. I help a lot of people. I constantly add value to people, and then, some of those people pay me. I'd actually take it one step further than that. I'd say I help a lot of people. I add more value than I take. I'm always connecting people. And then whether it's them or someone else that they know or someone else, eventually work comes my way, right? And it truly works. I've been doing this now, this same approach for 7+ years, right? And sure, there's little strategies and tactics like, okay, let me do that with a channel partner, right? And I don't really want to talk about channel partners. I had a coaching call with someone that I'm mentoring, coaching, whatever the right word is. And our call was actually centered around a lot of that today, which was, let me give you I'll tell you what I work. I don't like to give advice. I say, here's what worked for me, right? And we had one whole conversation about channel partners and how to do that. I might cover that in a different meeting. But I said the second approach, he's like, but is there something else, right? What will get me more like immediate kind of stuff, right? And I was like, look, I don't have the Facebook ad strategy or the LinkedIn strategy. What I do have, right, is exactly what Mike said, right? Here's what I do. I meet people. I'm going where people are. I'm striking out conversations. I'm seeing how I can help them. I'm talking to people, right? I'm doing this every single day of every single week of every single month of every single year, and then it compounds, right? So if you look back in the last 7 years and I'm just looking at the Jakt period, right? I probably, and really it accelerated even more over the last 5 years. If I'm meeting new people or talking to existing people, a few people a day, right? And say there's, and I do a 30 days a month kind of thing. I mean, let's call it 50 people. I think it's, in a lot of months it's more. If you look at my schedule, some days I'm talking to 5 to 8 people a day, multiple days a week, right? But let's just call it 50, right? If you just do the math on it, 50, right, times 12, that's 600 people. And then for 7 years, right? So 600 people, even let's call it 5 years, right? So that's, 3,000, if my math is right? 3,000 different people that I'm talking to, and along the way, I'm not adding as much value to every single one, but the point is I'm meeting with each person, seeing how I can help them, introducing people. Yeah, if I went through the people that I've introduced that have then done things together, whatever, hundreds, right? all the time, or you know, and I'm not asking anything from that, but it's this weird thing happens when you start helping a lot of people, right? It comes back to you, right? Maybe not now, maybe not in a year, maybe not ever, but a lot of times it does, right? In ways you don't expect, and then 3 years later, right? And part of this, though, that I also emphasized was you're helping people, but you're also at the same time, you're storytelling. You have to constantly be telling people your story and what you're doing, right? I've told my story over the years, especially with Jakt, right? So many times, right? To so many people that people then know me, right? All the people I've interacted with, right? They know my story, so then I'm top of mind when I'm talking to them. But then I help them out with something, and then I do this, whatever. So then, if there's ever anything that might be a good fit for us, you know, people tell me. So people don't like to hear the word referrals, and referrals is not scalable, and that sort of thing. But I mean, I have to tell you, like, between referrals and channel partners, right? It really does work, right? But referrals alone can build up a nice book of business, right? From helping people in this strategy, right? So it's a very slow strategy that takes years, right? And then it starts paying off more and more, right? I never actually thought of it. Here's the interesting thing. Never thought of it as a strategy until like now that I'm like, oh, it actually was like, it's a pretty damn good strategy. I didn't go into it knowing like that's what it was. I just knew like, hey, I'm gonna help people and like it's gonna work out. And now, you know, I started realizing like that's actually what happens, right? What actually comes to mind is my friend Chris Shembra, who first told me about a book called I think it's called Give and Take, and it talks about givers and takers, and it talks about how basically the most successful people, and I'll link the book in the description so you can check it out. But I read this book right when he you know, told me about it, and it basically goes like this. The most successful people are, and I won't spoil the rest of the book, but the most successful people are the givers, right? The people that give more, you know, just keep giving, right? And stuff comes around for them. It just does, right? And I kind of subscribe to that philosophy. I do, right? And I've seen very successful people that I know that have built very big businesses based on the same thing, right? There's people that I can think of, but no one likes this strategy. It's not the sexy approach. It's not the automated, don't have to do anything, get clients while you sleep, you know, shit, right? But it works, right? And by the way, I'm not saying this should be like the only strategy you employ, because every business is different. You need different things. I'm just offering something that I've used over the years, and I will continue forever using, helping people that will then refer business to me, and continuously meeting people and telling my story. And it just works. I don't know what else to tell you, right? Like, you know, this isn't a secret. This is, I think back to my friend Mike's point, it's hard work. It takes time. There's not immediate gratification, so people don't like it. But I'm telling you it works if you do this, right? And so, and you do it over time, and you're consistent over and over again. And by the way, it just gets better over time, right? I'm like, wow, what is 5 years from now going to be like? 10 years from now for me? 20 years, right? It just compounds over time. The more people you meet. So anyways, that's what I really wanted to talk about today. Doing the work that other people don't. Like, that's actually where the secret sauce is, right? Not some other fast little tactic or whatever. Sure, you may actually find something, one of those that works, but I just want to shed light on another tactic, or I don't even call it a tactic, and an approach that's really worked for me over the years, a strategy, if you will, to add more value than you're taking from people always. Do free stuff for people, you know, and connect people with people that can, you know, if it will help them or whatever, and then constantly be telling your story, right? And I'm telling you, you do this enough times, you keep going, and it will come back around. It just will, right? It's there's some law of attraction in there for you. There's you know, for whatever, you know, it just works. And I used to be scared, like I said in this, like to tell people, like they're like, how do you generate business? I'm like, I mean, this is what I do. Like, I don't know what to tell you. Like, I talk to a lot of people, I meet a lot of people, I help a lot of people, and then I get business, right? But after doing it for 7 years straight, and seeing business, you know, come in this way, I'm like, okay, actually, like it is a thing. And I got comfortable with that because actually my friend Chris, we were talking about it. He was over for dinner a month or two ago. I was like, hey, like, I don't know, like I do this a lot, and I've never really thought of it as a strategy, but all I know is like every year I keep getting business because, someone thought of me or whatever it was. And he's like, but like there is something there, and he's the one who really made me comfortable almost with saying like, yeah, no, there is something here, because if it's going over and over, it's not coincidence that it's happening, and there actually is a way. There's something going on there, and it actually, that is the strategy in a weird way. So, anyways, if you're joining in because you wanted to hear the nicest, newest tactic and how you wouldn't have to do anything, like this is definitely not it. Sorry to disappoint. This is the long-term, put in a bunch of work, and eventually it will pay off. The most unsexy tactic you can find, but man, I'm telling you, it works. So anyways, I'll leave you with this in conclusion. Part of it, you have to meet a lot of people, right? Meet people, add value to them, connect the dots for people, introduce people, and it will come back around. Tell your story so that people know it, and keep staying top of mind. That's important, and business will flow your way. It just will. I don't know if it will be the next week, the next month, the next year, 3 years from now. I kid you not. I've had people that I haven't talked to for a couple years, but I helped them with something and or whatever, made an impact, and I was top of mind somehow, and then they sent me some business. Like, you never know, right? But you can't go into these things expecting business or expecting someone to give you something. Like, that's just not a good approach, I'd say. And I think actually, the book Give and Take is a great one to read to help frame some of this stuff, because that same approach is what is kind of talking there. So anyways, I'll leave you with that. That's my tactic. I love it. It works, and I'll keep doing it because also I guess a lot of other people aren't doing it. So I'm trying to spread it. Mike's doing it. I'm doing it. Other people I know are doing it. Maybe I'll make it cool, and I'll be the the guru around doing the unsexy way of eventually generating business, called helping people and adding value and playing the long-term game. So anyways, that's all I got, but would love to know if you've done something like this. If this resonates with you, please in the comments, if you're watching my video, let me know. Let me know if you've done this, if you've seen success, or if you know someone who has, or if you start trying this and seeing the results. Would love to know what you think. And yeah, that's it. Please subscribe, and I will see you all next time on another episode of Reflections of a CEO. Thanks for joining.